we build the bridge? And in that sense, we also see that the divide between the global north and the global south is increasing. So Indian presidency took a conscious decision to take the effort to build this gap and build this bridge between the global north and the global south. An impact of this is also seen in the profiles and the organizations that have been invited to the Y20 summit. A lot of bodies, for example, ASEAN, African Union, etc., which were earlier not part of the Y20 negotiations, are present here, which you all would have realized brings forth a perspective that we were earlier not addressed to or open to. This makes our discussions more democratic and inclusive than it might have earlier been. And this, again, is one of the key priorities of what we say is India's priority of being the mother of democracy and democratizing the process. What we are trying to do here is democratizing the youth advocacy process. But it's not just at the international fora that this change is happening. Even in building forth India's stances, perspective, priorities, a lot of groundwork has been going on. And to tell just a few facts, we have conducted over 1,000 Y20 Chopals. We are on a mission to democratize the youth advocacy setup. And what we mean by Y20 Chopals is that we are reaching out to the youth in rural areas, in small communities, towns, working professionals, universities, colleges, and our representatives are interacting with them, trying to understand their voices. People from my committee and delegates from the Future of Work track would remember what I just said in the previous session as well, that the responsibility on us is not just to reflect or present our views, but rather the views of the communities that we come from, of the youth of our countries. And that is a process that Indian presidency has taken to its heart and is delving deep into. Now, coming back to the 5 themes, what we have gotten report, and you also would have experienced, is that a great amount of consensus is coming out of the priorities that people have. Our visions are coming to similar consensus. In Future of Work track, we had wonderful discussions, whether it be about the gig economy, how we can facilitate, how we can have social protection schemes for the individuals, or whether when we talk about startup ecosystems, what else is needed, or even in the broader context of the principle of relearning and unlearning with the different segments and the 21st century skills. So broader consensus is coming out as to what the demands could be. Similarly, when we talk about the peace building track, we talked about the situation where there are multiple challenges that segregate us. There is political inequality, there is income inequality, there are different divisions that are trying to keep us apart. But it is the pressure on us all and the responsibility to build those bridges and arrive at solutions and consensus that can bring a solution. And more so, when we talk about conflict zones, it is the youth which is the most impacted. So it becomes important and imperative for us to take our stances to present our voices. We also had the theme of shared future youth in democracy and governance, and multiple facts came to discussion with respect to the participation of youth in legislatures, in policy processes, and various case studies from different countries were presented about how we can build a solution. And interestingly, a very unique idea of youth, institutionalization of youth processes and youth leadership exchanges in the G20 has also come up. And it would be a great imperative upon us to push for this, for advocate for this, and see and explore the possibilities that can come into being. When we talked about the climate change and disaster risk reduction track, a major discussion that was under the purview was of climate financing. We also discussed early warning systems and disaster risk reduction, for which the world has to now collaborate, and we ought to have technology transfer mechanisms. And finally, under the health, well-being, and sports track, we talked about the impact of traditional medicines, of indigenous sports, of bringing forth the culture that has still been hidden, and democratizing the setup. And more importantly, creating these kinds of combined mechanisms of collaboration in the health infrastructure. Because the challenges, COVID has just exposed our incapacity. And at this point, the solution that has come up is that our countries need to collaborate on scientific terms to find solutions to global crises. A lot of these solutions, when we look at, were also cross-cutting in essence, because we ought to understand none of these themes exists in silos. So what we also have the responsibility upon is to identify the synergies between our various themes. More importantly, what we ought to look at beyond the pre-summit and our ideas is that there is no relevance of the ideas, discussions, and meetings if we are not able to get them impacted, advocated, and finally implemented by our relevant governments. So it is also imperative that we all take this responsibility upon ourselves to advocate and lobby our governments, to contact them, to push forth our voices, to get them included in the final G20 communique. And not just that, but in our local policy-making infrastructure as well. So it is a responsibility of all the 103 people sitting right here to take it upon themselves, to take these voices, perspectives, solutions beyond just the room, beyond just Leh, beyond just India, to our own countries and have them implemented as the voice of the youth. With this, I'd like to end. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Paliji, for taking us through the journey so far and giving us a brief description on the negotiations done on 5 themes. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Falis Ajaria from Y20 Secretariat. And now for the closing remarks, may I request Ms. Divya Lakshmi from Y20 India Secretariat. She is presenting Track and Health Wellbeing. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Divya Lakshmi.
Namaste. Ayam bandurayam niti ganana laguchetasam. Udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. This one is a relative, friend, and brother. This other one is an outlander, is for the mean-minded. For those who are known as magnanimous, the entire world constitutes but a family. Namaste and Jule. The Indic discourse on geopolitics dates back to the Maha Upanishads, where this verse can be found. India, that is Bharat, has been a vocal proponent for a united world, and that is the basic essence of this G20 theme, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. I was just talking to my fellow delegates, and we just felt like this summit just started and now it's already over. And I feel actually a little sad that it's over, but I think we have a lot to look forward. So this goal of global organizations has pushed humankind to its new nuances of development. On this powerful note, I, Divya Lakshmi, consider it my honor to deliver the concluding remarks of this rather magnanimous and august event. Today, my friends, we live in a highly interconnected and globalized world economically, culturally, politically, and technologically. These are times when the world has fought a once-in-a-century pandemic together, and yet there seems to be more issues coming to us each passing day. New India is not about the problems, but finding sustainable solutions. At the heart of a solution-oriented mindset is its youth. Dear fellow delegates and distinguished guests, as we come to the end of this Y20 pre-summit, I feel a sense of hope and optimism for the future. The past few days have been filled with intense discussions, deliberations, and negotiations. The powerful population of the youth in the member countries seem to be breaking glass ceilings, powering rockets, and fueling ideas. At the end of the 21st century, the world has focused and invested a lot of faith and hope in young minds who will solve the world's challenges and with their innovative and resourceful ideas. We have debated on various powerful agendas through the course of this pre-summit. These agendas can be summed up through an acronym, Shower of Hope, where S stands for Shared Future, H stands for Health and Well-being, O stands for Out-of-the-Box Thinking, W stands for Work, that is Future of Work, E stands for Ecological Sustainability, and R stands for Reconciliation and Peace. As we come to the closing ceremony of the Y20 Summit in Leh, I would take this opportunity to express my gratitude to each and everyone involved in the summit for your participation and contributions to this important conference. With the end of the discussions, the Y20 pre-summit has been a huge success, a value addition to the presidency of India. It has been inspiring to see the enthusiasm and passion of the young leaders from G20 nations. A diverse crowd from across the planet have come together to contribute to solving world's challenges. As we head back to our respective nations, I urge each and every one of you to carry forward the spirit of collaboration and cooperation that we have witnessed here at the Y20 pre-summit. We need to work together across borders beyond political differences to achieve our common goals. We must recognize the challenges that we face are not isolated to any one country, or any region, but are global in nature. But as we face these challenges, we must also remember the opportunities that lie ahead. The digital revolution and the advent of new technologies present us with immense possibilities for growth and development, especially for the youth. It is up to us, the youth, to harness the opportunities and use them to create more equitable and sustainable future. I believe that this cohort of doers has already started innovating through this pre-summit. As the main summit approaches, I believe that we all must share together to bring more such ideas to put forth an exceptional united front at the summit that can push boundaries and make it a stance that is global, united, diversified effort that we will lead to a brighter future. I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the organizers of the summit, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, to the Y20 Secretariat, and all the members for their tireless efforts ensuring the smooth and effective operations of this event. I also want to express my gratitude to the people of Leh for their warm hospitality and graciousness. We have been fortunate to experience the beauty and culture of this region, and it has been an honor to be welcomed into your community. In conclusion, I would like to thank each and every one of you, each and every delegate, for your contribution at this summit. Let us leave Leh, Ladakh, with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Let us continue to work for a better tomorrow for ourselves, for the communities, and for generations to come, hoping to have a path-breaking main summit at Varanasi. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashri dukkha bhagavate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Divya Lakshmi, for the closing remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, with this, we wrap up our concluding session. But there's much more to come. In a short while from now, we will be joined by our Honorable Minister, sir. And then we have a cultural program for you in the lunch area, the lawns. So please join us. Thank you so much for now. Thank you.